മായയെ നീക്കി സായുജ്യം നൽകുമാര്യനും നീ സത്യം ജ്ഞാനമാനന്ദം നീ തന്നെ വർത്തമാനവും ഭൂതവും ഭാവിയും വേറല്ല ഓതും മൊഴിയുമോർക്കിൽ നീ അകവും പുറവും തിങ്ങും മഹിമാവാർന്ന നിൻ പദം പുകഴ്ത്തുന്നു ഞങ്ങളങ്ങു ഭഗവാനെ ജയിക്കുക ജയിക്കുക മഹാദേവ ദീനാവന പരായണ ജയിക്കുക ചിദാനന്ദ ദയാസിന്ധോ ജയിക്കുക ആഴമേറും നിൻ മഹസ്സാമാഴിയിൽ ഞങ്ങളാകവേ ആഴണം വാഴണം നിത്യം വാഴണം വാഴണം സുഖം.
Thank you, Ms. Our state, the nation, and the whole world are passing through a very difficult time due to the COVID pandemic. It is a very painful test that continues to take away precious lives in our state and the country. We have also witnessed the tragic loss of life of people in the air crash at Garipur and the landslide at Rajmala Basin. To mourn the death of the thousands of our brothers and sisters from the COVID, the air crash and the landslide, let us observe silence for a moment. Kindly mute them. I now invite Dr. C B Saji, our beloved principal, for the welcome speech.
Yeah, thank you, Malavika. A warm good morning to one and all present for the program. President of the function, Dr. Santosh Prasannan, Chairman, Vidya International Charitable Trust, our honorable guest, Chief Guest, Mr. Thomas Simon, former Vice President and Head of the Global Talent Management Center, TCS Ltd, our Chief Patron, Engineer P K Ashokan, Executive Director, Engineer G Mohanachandran, Mr. Suresh Lal, Director of Finance and Administration, Dr. Sudha Balagopalan, Dean Academics, Vice Principal, Dr. V N Krishnachandran, our former Principal, Sri Pratapachandran Nair, our guest, Visiting Professor, Dr. K B M Nambudiripad, a former member of Vidya, Dr. C E Krishnan, also an academician and administrator, Sri Suresh K. Karun, who is our President of PTA, Mr. K. Dileep, Head of the Department and Coordinator of this program, Mr. Paul Chakola, Director, Placement and Training. In the elite group of audience, I could also expecting Padma Shri M.C. Dattan sir, who is the scientific advisor to the Chief Minister, honorable author trustees, including Shri C.K. Jayarajan, Shri K.G. Sukumaran, Shri K.P.R. Vijayan, Executive Committee member Shri K. Tilagan, and all other members of the Executive Committee, honorable trustees, members who are present here for the program to bless the program, faculty members, family members of Dr. D Balakrishnan and relatives of Dr. D Balakrishnan who have joined for the program, students, ladies and gentlemen. We are immensely pleased today to assemble here as part of the Dr. D Balakrishnan Day. As already introduced, Dr. D Balakrishnan has been an academician, administrator, and was the founder, academic director of the institution. We have been great to have his service with us. Vidya is today what it is because of his contributions, his guidance, and he has been the guiding light for us throughout the journey of Vidya from its inception till now. From the day he has gone for the heavenly heaven, we have been every year, this day, we do it as our DB Day in his fond memory. I'm thankful to all the members who are present here for the program. The function today is being presided over by Dr. Santosh Prasannan, the chairman of Vidya International Charitable Trust. He has been a very pragmatic person, finding solutions to any complicated problems with a practical approach. We are thankful to you, sir, for your presence today with this in the program. Hearty welcome to you to this program. Our guest of the day, Mr. Thomas Simon, who has been the former vice president as well as global head of the Talent Management Center, Tata Consultancy Services, has been a motivator to many throughout his sessions, handled all over the world, traveled all over the world, conducted sessions all over the world, and we are so fortunate to have him with us today in this program. A warm welcome to you, sir, for this program. Let me also acknowledge, thankfully, Mr. C.K. Jayarajan, our author trustee. Because of him only we have this chief guest today with us. Engineer P K Ashokan, our chief patron. From the very inception, he has been our motivator for Vidya as a family. Hearty welcome to you, sir, to this program. I also extend a very warm welcome to Engineer G Mohanachandran, our Executive Director, Sri Suresh Lal, our Director of Finance and Administration, Dr. Sudha Balagopalan, Dr. V N Krishnachandran, and Dr. Pratapachandran Nair. Hearty welcome to you to this function. Welcome. I also extend a very warm welcome to Dr. K B M Nambudiripad, who is our visiting professor and a seasoned academician. Also Dr. C E Krishnan, former member of our family, an academician, administrator, and also a sports person, former sports person. Hearty welcome to both of you to this function. Let me extend a warm welcome to Mr. Suresh Karun, our PTA president, who is also an entrepreneur and have been very close associate for Vidya, supporting us, being with us, together with us all the time. Hearty welcome to you, Mr. Suresh K. Karun. I also welcome the speakers, Mr. K. Dileep and Sri Paul Chakola, to this program. Hearty welcome to Malavika as well for joining the program. Padma Shri MC Dattan sir, the Honorable Scientific Advisor to the Chief Minister. Hearty welcome to you. We are proud to welcome you to this program. All the trustees, including Sri C K Jayarajan, Sri K G Sukumaran, Mr. K K Tilagan, and Executive Committee member, Honorary Academic Advisor, Director, Sri Dr. Anil B, all other members of the trust, dear participants, faculty members, students, let me have the pleasure to welcome you all to this program. This day, we bow our head to the memory of great Dr. D Balakrishnan. His memory guides us forward. At this point of time, let me also thankfully acknowledge and extend a very warm welcome to his family members and relatives who are present in this function. Hearty welcome to all of you once again. Stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Santosh Prasannan is the present chairman of VICT International Charitable Trust. After taking over as chairman of the trust recently, he has been spearheading various developmental activities of VAST with his rich academic background and immense professional experience. He has kindly consented to preside over this function. I invite him for the presidential speech.
Thank you, Malavika. Thank you, Dr. Saji. Our guest of honor, Mr. Thomas Simon, former Vice President of Tata Consulting Services, Chief Patron of Vidya, Mr. Ashokan, Executive Director of Vidya, Mr. Mohanachandran, Administration and Finance Director of Vidya, Mr. Suresh Lal, Principal of Vidya Academy, Dr. Saji, Placement Director, Mr. Paul Chakola, the Head of Department of Production Engineering and the convener for today's function, Professor Dileep, Dr. MC Dattan, Scientific Advisor to the Chief Minister of Kerala and our Honorary Advisor, all the other trustees and all the executive members who are present today, all the other trustees of Vidya, other esteemed speakers for today's function, all the faculty, staff and students of Vidya, and all other members of Vidya family, good morning. I hope that all of you are continuing to be safe and healthy during this challenging period. We are very happy that Mr. Thomas Simon has agreed to be the guest of honor and keynote speaker for today's function. We hope that Mr. Thomas will soon be able to invite you to visit our premises and to meet all of us as soon as the situation improves. We also hope that you'll be able to spend some of your valuable time in the future to advise and guide our students in their future career path and also in their lives. I would like to thank you again, Mr. Thomas, for agreeing to participate in today's function, and we look forward to your keynote address. I would also like to acknowledge and thank our other trustee, Mr. Jayarajan, who is a close friend of Mr. Thomas, and for facilitating his presence in today's function. Today's commemorative lecture, as Dr. Saji has mentioned, is in honor of Dr. D Balakrishnan. Dr. Balakrishnan was our former honorary advisor, our founding academic director, and also a former member of Vidya's steering committee. I'm sure that our chief patron, Mr. Ashokan, and all the other eminent speakers who will be talking today, they'll describe in more detail about Dr. Balakrishnan's illustrious academic and professional career, as well as his contributions and involvement with Vidya. I like to share a few of my personal experiences with Dr. Balakrishnan. I'm not sure if many of you are aware of the fact that Dr. Balakrishnan is my maternal uncle. That is, he is my mother's only brother. So I grew up seeing the activities and all the involvement of Dr. Balakrishnan, Balnamavan as I call him, in all spheres, whether it's in academic, in sports, in music, in movies. As his eldest nephew, obviously he was very fond of me. Apart from the academics, he was also very keen in sports. He used to play cricket in college, and later on, he used to be a sports commentator in radio. He was very progressive in his academic outlook right from the beginning. After his undergraduate education in engineering from the College of Engineering in Trivandrum, he spent most of his academic career at the College of Engineering in Thrissur. So I still remember the time when he came to our house and said that he would like to pursue his PhD, his doctoral studies in production engineering, and from IIT Bombay. That time it was IIT Bombay, now it's IIT Mumbai. So all that discussion was very interesting for me, because that's probably the first time I hear about a branch of engineering called production engineering, and also about IIT. So obviously he completed his PhD from IIT Mumbai, and then he came and established the production engineering department at College of Engineering in Thrissur. I must say that I was inspired by his passion for engineering, and that led me to choose my future career in engineering, future academic career in path in engineering, and to my entrance in IIT Madras. He continued to be a source of inspiration for me even later in my life. Actually, his presence, and of course, Amavi's presence, I believe Amavi is also joining us today. Their presence in Thrissur played a big part in my future life also, especially during my wedding period, because my wife, Sini, is from Thrissur. I think it's appropriate to say that Vidya's academic blueprint and the direction is formulated by Dr. Balakrishnan. As Dr. Saji said, he was a visionary in engineering education and was very progressive in his ideas and outlook. His dream was to make Vidya as one of the top engineering institutions in India. Currently, we continue to uphold the values and outlook of Dr. Balakrishnan. We continuously strive to reach excellence in various areas such as academics, research, and other activities that benefit the society. I'm sure that we will soon be able to fulfill the dream of Dr. Balakrishnan with the help and the hard work of our management, our faculty, our staff, and students. At this juncture, I'd like to thank Dr. Saji and the organizing committee headed by Professor Dileep for organizing this function today. I'd like to thank all the participants on this, for attending this conference in an online mode. I wish the function all success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Engineer P K Ashokan, former chairman of Vidya International Charitable Trust, is presently the chief patron of the trust. His close association with Dr. D B sir and the teamwork of both of them had immensely benefited VAST to set its vision and its subsequent realization. I request him to make the commemorative speech.
Good morning to one and all. I'll take this opportunity and it's my pleasure to introduce to you the guest of honor for the 10th Dr. D Balakrishnan Commemorative Lecture, Mr. Thomas Simon, former Vice President and Global Head of Talent Management at TCS, Tata Consultancy Services Ltd. After graduating from the Loyola College as a state topper, Mr. Thomas Simon did his Masters in Personal Management, Industrial Relations and Labor Welfare. He is a certified GMS, Global Mobility Specialist from ERC, Washington. He has a rich experience of over 30 years across diverse functions such as global sourcing, resource deployment, talent and leadership building, and in succession planning. He was the HR head of TCS India and was responsible for engaging the global talent at TCS with a staff strength of over 4 lakh employees. He was also responsible for the compliance management at TCS subsidiaries. Mr. Thomas Simon is very closely associated with academia and has been instrumental in developing and nurturing the stakeholders in the supply chain. He is an executive member of the National Institute of Personnel Management and is also on the MBA Governing Council of SRM University, Bellamel College of Technology, and represents the IT industry in the Employers Federation of Southern India. Recently, he has been co-opted to be on the national level advisory panel of the Department of Electronics for the formation of the E-Governance Academy of India. He has gone extensive training in strategy at Ross School of Business, Michigan State University, under the guidance of late Professor C K Prasannan. He has also undergone comprehensive program in strategy at Harvard Business School, Boston, USA. He is a guest faculty for the Advanced Management Program at Rutgers University. Mr. Thomas Simon has been bestowed the Outstanding HR Leader Award at the World HRD Congress. He is also a recipient of several professional awards. Over to you, Mr. Thomas Simon.
Good morning and thank you for the warm welcome. Respected Chairman, dignitaries, the Executive Director, family members of late Mr. Balakrishnan, trustees, board members, committee members, faculty, guests, and dear students. First, let me thank the management for having invited me. And incidentally, this is the first lecture that I'm doing for a college in an online mode. I love to be on stage, and I would have loved to be in Thrissur because that's my hometown, where I spend most of my summer holidays for the last 40 years. I would like to especially thank Jairaj uncle, who's been a mentor for me in more ways than one, for giving me this opportunity to address. I was asked for a topic. The topic choice was given between technology and management. And being in management for over 35 years, I chose management because I would not be able to do justice in technology. And I thought I would look at an individual level because the world is nothing but a cluster of individuals. and what are the traits that would equip each one of us to play a role and be a catalyst for growth, which is the need of the hour. We live today in a very polarized world. And this polarization is not anything new. In fact, the world has been living in a polarized mode for more than thousands of years. If you look at our evolutionary history, whether we look at the Neanderthal man and the Cro-Magnon man and the subsequent man that came, which is Homo sapiens, and who we are, which is the Homo sapiens erectus, the vertical man, somewhere along the line in our evolutionary development, we started developing the digits of fingers of a hand, which resulted in the usage of tools, then using fire for cooking, and thus resulted in eating food which has more protein content. As a result, what happened is, because of high protein content food, our brain started developing. When the brain started developing, the cranium did not have enough capacity to hold the developing brain. So it started eating into spaces which were relatively empty. And one of the spaces that was a bit empty was behind the nose. And as a result, our ancestors were able to breathe much better than what we are. We are not actually good breathers. And as a result, we get into a lot of problems like allergy and other disorders. But the whole breathing issue is a topic for another day, another lecture. And as James Nestor put it, we need to breathe properly. Now, coming back to polarization, man has been fighting animals in the early times, and the fight was more territorial, to gain forest land, keep away the animals, live comfortably, grow into an agrarian life, etc. Then man started fighting against man. Countries went to war against another country, and the war was based on either politics, race, languages, and a whole lot of reasons. Countries fighting countries were an order of the day for centuries. It has diminished to a large extent now. Then we have polarization within a country, which could be a county versus county or a state versus state, which is more ideological. And then within a state, we have interest groups who have ideologies and who have differences of opinion. Abhijit Banerjee, the economist who recently won one of the greatest awards, goes on to say, in the United States, majority of the Republicans think that the Democrats are not worth it and they are not worthy of consideration. And the feeling is likewise among the Democrats. They don't think that the Republicans are worth it. So those sort of ideological differences are quite common. Incidentally, if a person from one party in the US, his son marries a girl from a person from the other party, then there will be a lot of acrimony. With this background, what are we looking at? Are we individuals who are spectators to the spectacle, or do we have a special role to play? Or are we as individuals catalysts for growth, for either nation building or institution building, or wherever we are? The answer is the third. We are definitely catalysts. Now, what are the roles that a person plays when he has to be a catalyst? He can either be a participant, he can be a knowledge partner, or he can be a creator of that development. And most importantly, he encompasses all three areas so that growth becomes holistic. if the answer to the question, are we a catalyst to growth, is yes, then we have the proof of the pudding in the form of either a Mahatma Gandhi or a Martin Luther King or a Mandela or a Winston Churchill. And there are many more. I just named a few. I would like to examine some of the traits that each individual possesses or should possess as an entity to become a catalyst for growth. There are many, but in my 35 years as a social scientist and as an HR professional and studying people and behavioral traits, I have distilled down a few of them. Many of them have been researched by multiple people, and I thought I will mention some of those traits with examples. One of the most important traits that an individual needs to possess for growth, for promotion of growth, to act as a catalyst and to play that role as a promoter is a great trait called grit. There's a person called Angela Duckworth who has done a phenomenal amount of research and has published many papers on this topic. If you go to the world of military history or military training, the Sandhurst Military Academy in the United Kingdom is one of the greatest military academies of the world, where the brightest and best army generals are churned out, and they don't come easy, and it's a very tough course. Many people from the Asian subcontinent, the army leaders, come from the Sandhurst Academy. Close on the heels of it is the Indian Military Academy, which was a later development, and many people have gone through training. But for the purpose of grit, I'm going to pick up another military academy called the West Point Military Academy in the US. Many generals have come out of that institute. And to get into the West Point Military Academy, the brightest and best students from schools join West Point Military Academy. But it's also interesting to note, many of them drop out. And the people who drop out are essentially those people, not the brightest ones drop out, the ones with grit stay on. So the people with an ability to stick on, people with the ability to go through the ruts of life, people with the ability to hang on and be there and see the end, are essentially the ones who pass out a military academy in West Point and become the greatest and the brightest generals of the United States. In England, there's an old saying. This goes for cricket. Stick to the wicket, the runs will come. I remember during my school days, I was a big fan of cricket and I used to bowl as well. And I'm still continue to watch the game besides playing football for South Zone. I was a great admirer of Gavaskar. He may take 2.5 days or 1.5 days to get a century, but he showed tremendous amount of grit in sticking on to the wicket, playing greats like Wesley Hall, Charlie Griffith, and some of the fastest bowlers the world has ever seen, and without a helmet. If grit had not been there, Gandhi would not have been able to give a nation, along with his other colleagues of the freedom movement, with his wonderful agenda of ahimsa. Mandela would not have had the fight or the tenacity, and he would not have fought against apartheid if he had not had the grit. Martin Luther King demonstrated grit with faith, and today they have either formed a country or an institution or a movement. The second trait that I want to look at is the issue of branding. Each one of us need to have a brand. Now, branding is not something that was started recently. It existed as early as 4,000 years back. The only difference was those days, a farmer used to brand a cow with an iron insignia to differentiate his cow from his neighbor's cows. Now, today branding is about differentiating people, principles, processes, procedures, products, and services, and also about organizations. But we should also bear in mind branding has a big role as an individual. Every individual has a brand. Yesterday we heard Dhoni retired, but look at the brand value. We have had several actors, politicians, people in society. Everybody comes with a brand. Now, there is, in the international world, there is something called EVN, which is water, and it is priced 3 times more than a normal Bisleri water. What is different about it? It is bottled at the Alps, fortified with minerals, and that's the difference. So water is water unless differentiated. Individuals will be common individuals unless differentiated. And unless we are differentiated and we are at the high in the pecking order, we cannot be that catalyst for growth or development. I want to pick about another trait that's very, very important, which is vision. I heard in the presidential address about the vision of Dr. Balakrishnan. Vision is very, very important. But let me get to another topic before I get to vision, which is uncertainty and change. Today, uncertainty and change are the only things that is free. Even water is not free in some areas. Uncertainty and change in our life is always free, and it is to be expected. Now, how have people combated uncertainty and change? There is a psychological trait called perceptual acuity. That is the ability to smoothen out the rough edges and put things in a better perspective. The other one is called the readiness for discomfort. It is very important that if you have to be a promoter of growth, have a readiness for discomfort. I'm sure Vidya, when it started growing up from his formative days, there have been obstacles and debacles and difficulties, all of which was exhibited by grit by the founding members to come forward and win over. And today we have an institution. Innovators, scientists, all of them did not get their inventions without a readiness for discomfort. If you look at the Wright brothers, before they had the leap of faith, they had the readiness of discomfort. Now, let us look at one of the certainties. There are many types of certainties that happen in this world, but I want to pick one type of uncertainty that will happen, and that from the world of business. There is a gentleman called Michael Dell. He made very good computers, and his computers were very cheap and very efficient. His USP was that he made the computer only once you gave the order. His items were procured only after you made the order and made subject to your specifications. As a result, he had zero inventory and he had no cost overheads. And he had a good logistics system to ship them. And he made his computers were very, very cheap and efficient. And top class, cheap as in cost, classy, and very, very efficient. IBM had a business of making laptops. Subsequently, they sold it to a company in China called Lenovo. And because the cost of production in China was very less, Lenovo beat Dell in terms of cost and mass produced a whole lot of computers. So Michael Dell actually got blindsided with cheaper laptops coming from China under the flagship name of Lenovo, supported by IBM. Things went on for some time until a young man called Steve Jobs came on the scene. He made a device which had a computer, which had a camera, which had a note-taking ability, which could take photographs which are the brightest and the best with all sort of editing. It had a music system, and he combined many things into one. What was Steve Jobs doing? Steve Jobs, everybody thought was making a phone, but he was making many things into one, what today management studies call as convergence. He had that vision to bring everything under one device. And today, of course, many people have devices which are combination, but Steve Jobs was the one who started that. And then Dell and Lenovo also had a share of shock with the ThinkPad and the Mac and other products from the Apple suite coming up. But the fundamental man who had that vision was Steve Jobs. He has, of course, had his own eccentricities in terms of behavior, as we know from his biography. But he was a designer par excellence. He had the grit to deliver. In fact, incidentally, he wanted to make a computer without a fan. And to make that, he needed a chip that did not emit heat. And then he had his own chip manufacturing methodologies. And finally, his is one of the few devices which comes without a fan. All other devices come with a fan. Here we're looking at a man with grit, brand, vision, and also created that uncertainty which others found it difficult to absorb. There is a gentleman I admire in the world today. His name is Nicholas Nissim Taleb. He brought about 3 concepts which I have practiced, and I think many individuals should practice if they have to be a part of the growth. I've been a part of the TCS growth process. When I joined TCS, we are only 6,000 strong, and today we are around 4,30,000 people, and I've seen that journey. And I want to bring about 3 concepts that are very important for an individual, apart from the others that I mentioned before. The first concept is called the anti-fragility. Each one of us think it's the opposite of fragile. It is not. If you had to send a box of crockery to your aunt in the US, you would write on it fragile. But if you had to put a grinding stone and send it to your aunt, you will not write not fragile. You will not write anti-fragile either. So let me explain this concept of anti-fragile. If you have knowledge written in a palm leaf, what we call as the ancient palm leaf manuscripts or text, it could get burnt or moth-eaten. It's fragile, destroyable. If you have all the knowledge of, let's say, distributed algorithms written down in a book, and the book falls down from the 3rd floor of Vidya Institute and the papers get scattered, the knowledge gets wasted. Let's say you write it even on a tablet, like an iPad or a laptop, and it breaks, the knowledge disappears. But if you have that knowledge and the logic resident in your head, what I call as a necktop, it is tacit knowledge, unbreakable, indestructible, and anti-fragile. People need to develop tacit knowledge that are indestructible and develop this trait as a participant to the growth process. The other thing I want to look at is to love the negatives. Let me give it a very simple example. When we go for a birthday party, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My picture got frozen. That's what I asked. Okay. Is the picture okay?
It has not come, sir.
Okay. There's something wrong with the picture, but I'll continue with the audio. Audio is okay, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, when we go for a birthday party, we light a candle. And if it is an outdoor birthday party, the candle, when the wind blows, extinguishes itself. and we get angry at the wind. But when we go for a campfire, the wind starts blowing and the embers start burning higher. And the campfire blows much higher and we are all happy. The same wind that we hated for the birthday party is the same wind that we appreciate. People with a growth mentality learn to love the negatives and consider it as a part of their existence. The third phenomenon that I want to talk from the Dileep exposition is the black swan effect. Now, if you sit by the side of a lake and you see one white swan going and another white swan moving, and then a fifth one going, and the sixth one is suddenly a black one, it causes some turbulence in our mind. Black swans are nothing but linearly moving objects suddenly throwing a different image that is difficult for the viewer to understand. Incidentally, life was going on very well for all of us until the coronavirus or the pandemic started hitting the world. That is typically a black swan effect. Now, when we look at the black swan, we need to consider the benefits that come out of it. Though there are a lot of dangers, I'm sure many of us would have a chance to introspect our personal life, our professional life, and then look around ways to do things differently, including this call that we are doing. Digital connection has become a way of life. So in life, there'll be black swans. It's important to manage those black swans. If Tenzing and Hillary had climbed the Mount Everest, I'm sure they would have planned something, but as they went up the mountain, they would have had so many black swans, figuratively speaking, which they did not anticipate, but overcame them and became history as the first conquerors of Mount Everest. We also want to look at another area, which is collaboration. Vidya was not formed by one individual. I'm sure all of you will agree. It is a collaboration of multiple people. To give an example from Kerala, when the monsoon strikes, the jackfruit or the mango tree, huge trees, which are 30, 40 years old, they fall down. The roots get uprooted. But if you look at the redwood in California, which is very tall, but the roots penetrate only 5 or 6 inches into the ground. And when the winds blow, they don't fall. The reason is there are several hundred redwood trees in and around the area. And they all the roots are collaborating together like internet, like a network of networks. And they stay collectively bound under the earth together so that the trees don't fall. This is the level of collaboration that each one of us should have to be a participant for growth. Collective collaboration. In fact, there was a scientist who said collaboration and communication are great traits for an individual to promote growth. Now, while we prosper as individuals, what do we do for the others? It is very important to see what do we do for the others. I will give an example. There was an old man walking on the seashore and he saw starfish pushed by the waves and stranded on the seashore, lying on the seashore. So what he used to do is, he used to pick, the videos come back. Yeah, what he used to do is he used to pick a starfish and throw back into the waters. And then he used to walk for some more time, pick another starfish, pick it up and throw it back into the water. And there are thousands of starfish stranded on the seashore. The little boy went beside the old man and asked him, "Sir, what are you doing? You're taking one starfish and throwing into the ocean. And there are other starfish here." The old man did not reply to the boy. He went ahead and picked another starfish and threw into the ocean. And mind you, there are thousands of starfish lying stranded in the ocean. Finally, when the boy went up to the old man, held his hand and asked him, "Sir, please tell me, why are you throwing this starfish into the ocean? There are so many starfish stranded." So that old man said, "My dear son, this makes a difference for that one starfish." People with a growth initiative have that capability to promote collaboration and make a difference for that one individual who will grow and make institutions of himself as he goes forward. Each individual is a starfish and requires a certain amount of care. I come from a family of teachers. My grandfather, my father's sisters, my sister, all of them are teachers. And as said in the presidential address, I am committing today to Vidya to support in any which way I can whenever I come to Thrissur or remote. But like a teacher, let me do a summary of the traits that are important. The first and foremost is the grit, and this is in no order of importance. The second one is the brand. The third one is the vision. The fourth is the ability to manage structural uncertainties, the ability to manage anti-fragility, the will to love the negative, the capability to observe black swans, the ability to collaborate and care for one another. Now, if all these traits are there, in some way or the other, we can be that individual to be the catalyst for growth, but we need to look ourselves individually. We need to look ourselves introspectively. We need to look ourselves with a finer lens or a microscope and ask 3 questions as we hit the pillow every night before going to sleep. The questions that we need to ask ourselves are, today, from morning since I got up till the time that I've gone to sleep on my bed, the 3 questions that I need to ask are, and each individual need to ask are, have I lived? Have I loved? Have I laughed? The questions I'm repeating again, we need to ask, have I lived? Have I loved? Have I laughed? If the answer to any of these 3 questions is negative, we need to start life all over again tomorrow so that the answer to all 3 questions are positive. And that's the way forward to become an individual, to become a participant, to be a catalyst, and then growth is a byproduct of all these things that we have in us as traits or practice. Thank you for the opportunity. Wishing Vidya and the family of Vidya all the very best, and I will come there whenever possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Engineer P K Ashokan sir could not join due to technical issues, but he has conveyed his blessing on this occasion. I request Engineer G Mohanachandran sir, Executive Director of Vidya International Charitable Trust, for paying tributes of Dr. D B sir, being a colleague of Dr. D Balakrishnan sir right from the inception of Vidya. He is the right person to share his memories of working with Dr. D Balakrishnan sir.
Respect. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You are audible,
Yes.
sir.
From my set, some disturbance are coming. Anyway, respected President of the function, Dr. Santosh Prasannan, the Chairman of the Trust also, respected guest of honor, Dr. Thomas, all other dignitaries spread across the world. We cannot say that they are sitting on and off the dais. It is a rare opportunity to be a part of this global function in memory of our beloved DB sir. It is hard to believe that 10 years have passed since Dr. DB has left this world. We were together for about 10 years in connection with the movement of Vidya as members of the steering committee members during the initial days of Vidya International Charitable Trust and all the activities connecting with it. And it was a cherished memory, the way we were together, talking, discussing, arguing, agreeing and disagreeing, then again coming together and working for the welfare of the students and the institution and to support and serve the surrounding society. In the ideas we were together, but in the approach there were differences of opinion. But at the same time, it maintained a different level. After the discussion, we used to forget all different and start everything once again. And Dr. D Balakrishnan is a very simple man, was a very simple man. At the same time, he is very strict and very particular that he will not be moved by anyone, any external forces, however strong, how much strong the external forces be. And also, it is very difficult to deviate him from his principles. Even he joined the movement with some conditions. The leaders of the Vidya movement may be remembering how Dr. DB and T.N. Jayachandran IAS were inducted to the Vidya movement. When they came to know that we are going to start a self-financing college, initially they totally in disagreement with the idea itself, opposed it. Then finally when they agreed, they put certain conditions. And one of the conditions was that the Vidya, the institutions started under Vidya, should not accept any capitation fee from the students. And the second condition was that the faculty members will be selected only based on merit. And a third one was that no deposit will be collected from the selected faculty members, as that was the practice among the self-financing colleges in those times. Until now, we were following these three principles laid down by the founder, academic director, and the steering committee, Dr. D Balakrishnan and T.N. Jayachandran IAS. We were discussing about the life, profession, and the qualities of Dr. D Balakrishnan for the last 9 years. And most of the participants are from the same group. Only the new students may not be aware of the life and achievements and accomplishments of Dr. D Balakrishnan. For their information only, I am sharing that Dr. D Balakrishnan was a role model for every student, for every engineering student, for every, as well as a management expert. When he was alive, only these two sides were known to us. And after the death, that we were fortunate enough to identify certain unknown areas in which Dr. D Balakrishnan also excelled. One is in philosophy. I don't know how many of those in the know about. I came to know about this side of Dr. D Balakrishnan is by going through the books left in his almara after his departure. And most of the books were from in the philosophical books. And the difference is that through the selecting the particular books and the comments he has written on the books, he was trying to build a bridge between science and spirituality. And those books also were in such direction. And to certain extent, he was able to convince readers like me that there is some connection between spirituality and science principles. That happened after his departure from this earthly world. There are so many speakers waiting after me to talk about Dr. D Balakrishnan or our beloved DB sir. I conclude by giving one message to our young students. You try to learn the lives of people like Dr. DB and try to follow their footsteps. Lies the success of your life as an individual, as a professional, and as a social animal contributing to the society in and around us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Mr. Suresh Lal, Finance and Administrative Director of Vidya International Charitable Trust, to pay tributes to Dr. D Balakrishnan.
Respected dignitaries, Vidya family members, good morning to you all. Today, we are gathered here to pay tribute to our legendary founder, academic director, Dr. D Balakrishnan, our own DB sir. I haven't had an opportunity to work with him because before I joined Vidya, he had already left for his heavenly abode. So I don't have any experience to share with you all. Vidya was really fortunate to have associated with DB sir and owes a lot for what Vidya is today. DB sir will always be there in our thoughts. There are a lot of more things to do for fully realizing his vision and dream. Therefore, while paying tribute to DB sir, let us renew our commitment and rededicate us to continue working together for the success and progress of Vidya. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let me now invite Dr. P. Pratapachandran, former principal of Vidya, to share his experience of working with Dr. D Balakrishnan on this occasion.
Good morning, everybody. Let me express my sincere thanks to the principal and the top management of VICT for giving me an opportunity to be here with you on this day. Our beloved Dr. B Balakrishnan was my teacher, colleague, neighbor, and mentor. Let me cherish my fond memories associated with Dr. DB. I first met him in 1963 at CET, College of Engineering, Trivandrum, while I was a third-year electrical engineering student there. He taught us power plant engineering. He was a very good teacher, and I still remember his classes. Later on, I had the good fortune to work at GC Thrissur along with him. At the time, I was staying near his house at Viur. We used to go to the college every day along with Dr. M.R.S. Nair and Dr. M.S.N. Poti. Our association became stronger when I joined WASP in February 2004 as per his request. I was working as principal, College of Engineering, Chenganur at that time, and Dr. DB asked me to come over to Thrissur to join Vidya. I obliged. We used to commute to college and back every day. Dr. DB was a great visionary. The vision and mission statements of WASP was drafted by him. As Dr. Santosh Prasannan correctly mentioned, his dream was to see WASP to become one of the top engineering colleges in the country. In order to achieve that, he recruited very good faculty and admitted meritorious students and established state-of-the-art laboratories, workshop, library, etc. Of course, with the full support of the top management. Dr. DB was a very good orator, sportsman, playwright, and singer. He was very active in professional society activities. He was the chairman of Indian Society for Technical Education and Institution of Engineers India, Kerala chapter. He was very passionate about training teachers and students. Till his last breath, he could do that. Let me conclude. Dr. DB was a perfect gentleman. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Dr. Sudha Balagopalan, Dean Academics and former Principal WASP, to pay tributes to Dr. DB, sir. She is probably the appropriate person who can recollect and share the qualities of Dr. D Balakrishnan as a teacher from her memories of working with him for a long 7 years in Vidya.
Thank you, Malavika. Valued dignitaries, personalities logged in, including all the trust members, all our very senior professors, faculty members, staff members, students, etc. A very good morning to all of you. DVD always comes after, at a time when the spirit of freedom is very fresh in our minds. And such a free spirit was our DB, sir. In fact, he was a point of reference for all of us in terms of living, loving, as also laughing. I remember that. In fact, that is my fondest memory of him. Then again, I value the time of each individual logged in here, especially because online time is critical as also precious. So I'll just share two memories which may pay tributes to his beautiful memories. The first memory is somewhere along the lines when the college was in its starting phase. There was a sort of a problem. There was a student disturbance, and I met him while I was coming from a class, and he was proceeding to a PTA meeting. So I thought that he must be a little ruffled, and I spoke something in that context. But his reply is very, very important, and I think it imbibes the spirit of whatever our chief guest spoke about a few minutes back. He said that it's all a part of the game. This is exactly what has to be passed on to the students. These are extraordinary times. We are going through difficulties, etc. But this is all part of a game, of the wonderful game of life. So this was an important message that I can bring to you students, as also the young people out here, that is directly delivered by our very respected DB sir. Second memory is, of course, towards perhaps a part of my final interactions with him. We had just concluded an international conference, the first international conference of Vidya, and we had passed through terrible times. In fact, there were quite a large number of hurdles for the conduct of the conference. But of course, it had turned out to be a wonderful conference, a magnificent conference. So I had entered his room to talk about something, and it was a beautiful, in fact, it was a pleasant sight for me when I saw that he was on the computer, he was watching the screen, and he was going through the photographs of the conference, as also the very motivating comments of the people who had come for the conference, including Professor Thomas Kailath, who was the only Millennium Man and a professor from Stanford University, who had written very nice words about Vidya in the comments book. So he turned from the screen and saw me and said it was a wonderful conference. Those are beautiful memories. But at the same time, in fact, I didn't know about, I didn't have a clarity about the point of reference at that point of time, about his views about the conference. So I said that, we had quite a lot of good fortune, a lot of good luck. Then what he spoke to me is again a message. Then he said that, no, it was sheer hard work. This is exactly what I want to pass on to the students. Everything is a part of the game of, it's the wonderful game of life, but grit, as also vision, as all the qualities that our chief guest spoke about are going to be components, and you are supposed to play it appropriately, and you're supposed to understand that sheer hard work will definitely bring in the goals that you are destined for. So with these few words, I remember with a lot of respect and fondness Dr. DB sir, and conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I now invite Dr. V N Krishnachandran, Vice Principal of Vidya, to cherish the memories as an academic colleague of Dr. D Balakrishnan.
Okay. Respected dignitaries present to participate in this function, this online program, all dignitaries sitting at different locations on this globe. We are having a really global commemoration program. Good morning to you all. And also I wish to say happy and prosperous New Year, because according to the Malayalam calendar or Kolamera, tomorrow happens to be the New Year day. The New Year 1196 Kollam era begins tomorrow. Malayalam calendar is a very scientifically designed calendar, and most of us have forgotten about it and talking about it as obsolete. I'm making a reference to that on this occasion with a purpose. The purpose is we should not forget our heritage. We should not forget our traditions. The Indian civilization has a great tradition of respecting our great teachers and gurus. And in imbibing that culture and the tradition, Vidya has started this process of paying tributes to our great teachers. So this occasion today is not only paying tribute to Dr. D Balakrishnan, it is also paying tribute to all the teachers and all other great gurus who have shaped the destiny of humankind. Especially the teachers who have been part of Vidya, the leaders who have been part of Vidya, who formulated destiny and brought Vidya to the current status, to current stature of what it is. Personally, I was a colleague of Dr. D Balakrishnan in Government Engineering College, Thrissur, but I did not have much occasion to interact with him then. I interacted with him only when I came to Vidya. Those who spoke before me have told you about the sterling qualities of the individual, his principles, his steadfastness in holding the principles, and how that shaped the destiny of Vidya. I am not going to say those words once again. So it's an occasion for paying tribute to the great teachers and to learn lessons from them. That is the point. All those present here, the students, all the young teachers, and all others must learn how he shaped this, how a great institution can be nurtured, how Vidya has become different from other institutions which started at a similar time, how Vidya is flourishing, what are the foundations on which Vidya was built. And it was these foundations, these strong foundations, on which we are now building, still becoming greater. And these foundations were laid by great visionaries like Dr. D Balakrishnan. Their principles as engineer G Mohanachandran described in a few words some of the qualities, some of his principles that make Vidya a great institution. So let us all pay tribute to Dr. D Balakrishnan and all other great gurus who have shaped our destiny. So thank you for giving an opportunity to be present here and say a few words. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. I now request Dr. K B M Nambudiripad, visiting professor of Vidya, to pay tribute on his former professor colleague.
Sir, please unmute your mic, sir. Sir, kindly unmute your mic. You are not audible, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now you are audible.
Good morning, dear and distinguished participants. It's an honor for me to participate in this function, which is dedicated primarily to my old friend, Dr. D Balakrishnan. I knew him as a captain of our cricket team, and as youngsters, we used to look up with great honor and admiration. He used to be a fast bowler, and it is always the dream of every youngster to bowl fast to get batsmen out. I was not as good a player as he was. I was not good enough to be a member of the strong engineering college team. I was good enough only to play in the second B team. But I was a cricket enthusiast. So I called him always, although I considered him always as my senior, I never called him sir or anything like this. I used to call him Balakrishnan, but not so close as to call him Balan. Our contact became much, we did not have any contact for a few years. Later, when he joined at Thrissur, I used to be associated with him because I was always an examiner there. In those days, people hesitated to act as external examiners because of various reasons. But Professor George always thought that I had other interests in Trichur, so I always used to come up there. So our association became very fast and thick over the years, and I remember him with a lot of nostalgia, fondness, old friend. I'm so sorry that it's 10 years since he departed us. Everything that is to be said has already been said, so I do not wish to add anything further. But the memory of the person, he was a great person. He was a great person. Balan was a great soul. That's what our common friends used to say. Namaskaram.
Thank you, sir. Dr. C E Krishnan, former director of SNGEC, is with us today to pay homage to Dr. D B Saji as a student and as a colleague, as later as a colleague. Dr. C E Krishnan was a close associate of Dr. D B Saji for decades. Let us hear a few words from him on this occasion.
Sir, if you are there, please unmute your mic. Yeah?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Audible. Audible now.
It is audible now. Okay. I respected Chairman, Dr. Santosh Prasannan, Mr. P K Ashokan, the Chief Patron of VAST, Mr. Thomas Simon, the Chief Guest of the Day, Mr. Dattan, other dignitaries and the participants, and the trustees and executive committee members. A very good morning to all of you. First of all, let me express my gratitude to Vidya Management for giving me this opportunity to join this auspicious function of the 10th Dr. D Balakrishnan Commemorative Lecture Meeting, wherein the lecture is being delivered by one of the most prominent persons in India or even the world. I am very thankful to you too. The previous speakers have already given detailed character sketch of Dr. D B sir, highlight his role in starting and molding Vidya Engineering College as one of the top engineering colleges in the state. Hence, I'll be limiting my felicitation to my association with him, which starts from 1964 as my beloved teacher in Trichur Engineering College, who taught me the power plant engineering in the 4th year and production engineering in the final year. He's an extraordinary person with a mix of a variety of characters. An excellent teacher, a well-known sportsman, an actor and playwright, a tactful manager, a proficient orator, a learned philosopher, and an attractive commentator for All India Radio and Doordarshan in cricket, hockey, football, basketball, and many other games. and some days I was with him. And above all, a very good organizer who occupied comfortable positions in various professional and sports and games organizations in the district, state, and national levels. To cite a few examples, as Dr. Pratapendran has already said, he was the chairman of ISTE Kerala unit, chairman of Institute of Engineers Kerala State Center, president of Architects and Engineers Association, chairman of Cricket Association, district secretary of the District Sports Council, and so on and so forth. So many laurels to list on him. To me, in addition to being a teacher, he was a colleague, a boss, a friend, an elder brother, etc., etc. And his guidance and advices were so much valuable for me for all my achievements in my life. I was lucky to be with him, to work together in major industrial consultancy projects for the state and central government organizations. I remember our visit to the biggest timber company in the southern plywood company in Kannur, where we met together, where he presented me as a professor when I was only a lecturer or assistant professor. In short, he was all in all for me as a role model. Actually, he was responsible, along with my close friend, very sincere and close friend, Mr. Brahmadattan, to come to Vidya and to join as a faculty in Vidya and to get involved with Vidya. Let us all together join and pray to Almighty for his soul to rest in peace. നിങ്ങൾ എവരുടെയും കൂടെ ഞാനും എൻ്റെ ഹൃദയം നിറഞ്ഞ ആദരാഞ്ജലികൾ അർപ്പിക്കുന്നു. പ്രണാമം, പ്രണാമം, പ്രണാമം.
Thank you, sir. We have with us our PTA President, Mr. Suresh K. Karna. I request him to say a few words on this occasion.
I think he has not joined yet. Our Chief Patron, P K Ashokan sir, had some technical issues earlier. Would you like to speak now, sir? Sir, you are... okay.
I am audible?
Yes, sir, audible now, audible now.
Okay. We are all here to pay our tribute to Dr. D Balakrishnan sir. Actually, 10th August, 16th August 2010 was a very sad day for Vidya. However, we could not remain sad for long. Dr. D Balakrishnan is a man of action, man of commitment. And Vidya is also an organization with full of vision and action and committed to the society. Therefore, we plan to convert this sad situation as an opportunity to keep Vidya growing along the vision nurtured by the trust and Dr. D Balakrishnan. Accordingly, we plan to have two activities. One is formally, we will have a commemorative lecture on the 16th of August every year to connect industry technology to the campus. The second is totally live in technological and academic environment in Vidya campus itself. Vidya, as all of you have heard and many people have, the trust had a dream and Dr. D Balakrishnan had a dream that it should be one of the best technology campus in the nation. And we continued growing in that way. Fortunately, he has done everything that was possible to lay the foundation of an eminent institution, an engineering institution. And it was not that difficult for us to follow his path because, as mentioned earlier, we had excellent faculty available in India and excellent facilities prevailing at that time, and also a culture of commitment developed in the campus. As some of them mentioned, there is no substitution for hard work, focused effort, and we have been focused. And Vidya, I'm not going into details, everything is over. I just first met, or the first impression I have of Dr. Balakrishnan is from College of Engineering to Andhra campus. As mentioned earlier, as a fast bowler, not only in cricket, but anywhere he was moving around. He was very young at that time and the most prominent person in the campus to Andhra Engineering College. Then, after his retirement, when he got settled in Trichu, I had an opportunity to get reconnected with him closely. And that led the way to get him positioned in Vidya because of the fortune of the society. It is not that the trust is fortunate, but it is the fortune of the society. Without the presence of and the leadership of Dr. D Balakrishnan, the trust could not have developed such an eminent technological institution. And all of you know that within the last 10 years, even though he passed away, we continued working along his path and established our name and fame and contribution at the national level. And Vidya is an organization framed out of the gratitude. We are grateful to the nature, we are grateful to the society, and we are grateful to everyone around us. And anything, any living being or non-living being around us, which keep us living and making us our life joyful. Therefore, we are bound to give whatever possible to make a difference, just like our distinguished guest mentioned today, just supporting or making a difference in one's life. Whatever little things we can do for the society, that's great. We may not be able to do everything on a day or in years, but we can do little things. Therefore, Dr. D Balakrishnan was not only an academic director, he was our founder, honorary advisor. Vidya's strength is based on the contributions of our reputed, eminent honorary advisors. It was not that easy for a group of NRIs to establish an institution here without the guidance and support of our honorary advisors. We had enough common sense and connections and contacts, and so that the trustworthy people and reputed people, leaders in Kerala, trusted us and came with us to build this organization. Therefore, I remember with gratitude at this time other honorary advisors who are not in the campus but have always been living with the welfare of Vidya. Dr. Prasannan, Dr. Santosh Prasannan's father, is the first one who was even helping us to review the trust deed. And Dr. Engineer M.N. Prasad is also an uncle of Dr. Santosh Prasannan, former chairman of Railway Board, and Dr. Gopal, the former vice chancellor of Cochin University. They are all not with us today, but there are a few other people who have been living for Vidya and living with us in building our dream to pay back to the society. T.N. Jayendran was our steering committee chairman, and also going through all minor details and major details to check, control, and audit whether we are getting deviated from our vision and principles. And we are fortunate even now to get associated with new honorary advisors who are also proven their career and life contributive to the humanity and society. Our Padma Shri M.C. Dattan, you know, the mission director for two successful missions, Chandrayaan and Chauyaan, and also the scientific advisor to Chief Minister. He is associated with us more than a full-time leader or executive director. He closely watches our activities and guide us and support us. Therefore, we follow the principle or the policy of keeping elders as our, approach their guidance and everything. I express my gratitude on behalf of the trust to all those honorary advisors who passed away and also who are supporting us regularly. Similarly, the actual management happened successful through the directors, honorary directors. We cannot see any other organization, such honorary directors who are not receiving any salaries. So we force them to take some traveling expense or something like that as honorarium, but still they work day and time for the success of Vidya. That is for the benefit of the society, because they understand our views and our ideology and vision, and they are associated with us. They are not associated with the individuals who are active in the trust, but they are associated with the vision that we have. Engineer G Mohanachandran and Suresh Lal and others, I'm not naming all directors, are contributing for the successful management of Vidya, for giving back to the society. I once again remember our great visionary, Dr. D Balakrishnan, and conclude my words. Thank you all. Namaste.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Professor K. Dileep, Professor and Head, Department of Production Engineering, and the convener of this event to purpose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Malavika. Honorable Chairman of Vidya International Charitable Trust, Dr. Santosh Prasannan, sir, President of this function. Distinguished guest of honor, Mr. Thomas Simon, former Vice President of Tata Consultancy Services Limited. Respected Principal Dr. C B Saji, respected Chief Patron of VICT Engineer P K Ashokan, sir. Eminent personalities who spoke on this occasion. Our most valued guests, relatives and friends of Dr. D Balakrishnan, sir. Honorable advisors and governing body members of VICT, other trustees, executive committee members of VICT, other respected trustees, heads of various departments, PTA President, Mr. Suresh K. Karun, staff members of Vidya and VICT, my dear colleagues and dear students, a very good afternoon to all of you. It's my proud privilege to have been assigned this important duty of proposing vote of thanks on this occasion. Indeed, Dr. D Balakrishnan was a great academician. He had set examples as a teacher and was a source of inspiration and a guiding light for all of us during his time as academic director of Vidya. If I speak out of my own experience, I can proudly say that he had influenced me greatly, especially to choose this noble profession as my lifelong career. He's a role model in teaching for all of us, and I can proudly say that it was his presence in Vidya that inspired me to continue in this profession. With these few words, let me accomplish my assigned duty of proposing vote of thanks. On behalf of the entire Vidya family members, the organizing committee, and on my personal behalf, I express my sincere gratitude and respect to our distinguished guest speaker, Mr. Thomas Simon, for not only sparing his valuable time for us to grace this occasion, but also for enlightening us with his commendable talk on the topic. The traits that we all as individuals should possess to contribute towards the growth of ourselves and our nation was well explained to all of us by him. His message asking us to live, love, and love to assess our success in life is something that really touches the hearts of all of us. Thank you, sir. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for Dr. Santosh Prasannan, the chairman of our trust, for presiding over this function and for all the support that he extended towards the successful conduct of this event. Thank you, sir. I also wish to express my gratitude to Engineer P K Ashokan, sir, Chief Patron and former Chairman of VICT, for providing the encouragement and for his tireless involvement in all activities of the college. I thank him for paying tributes to DB, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm also grateful to Dr. C B Saji, our principal, for giving us necessary guidance and support in organizing this program and also for the successful conduct of this event. Thank you, sir. I would like to acknowledge our gratitude to Engineer G Mohanachandran, sir, for the help, support, and guidance in organizing this event and also for making necessary modifications and corrections as required at every stage of it. Thank you, sir. I also extend my thanks to Mr. Suresh Lal, Finance and Administrative Director, for his kind participation and for paying tributes to Dr. D Balakrishnan, sir. Thank you, sir. Let me thank Dr. P. Pratapendran Nair, sir, our former principal, and Dr. K B M Nambudiripad, sir, our visiting professor, for their kind participation and also for sharing their memories of working with DP, sir. Thank you, sir. Dr. C E Krishnan was one of the close associates of Dr. D Balakrishnan. Despite the inconvenience of participating in this online meet, he has kindly consented to be a part of it. I thank him from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, sir. Dr. Sudha Balagopalan, our Dean Academics, might be the person who has organized this event in the capacity of principal for the maximum number of times. I thankfully acknowledge her help and support in organizing this event. Her instant responses for the requests have always surprised me. Thank you, madam. Dr. V N Krishnachandran, Vice Principal, is the person who had set examples for others to follow as far as this particular event is concerned. He was the convener of this event in 2011 on the very first death anniversary of Dr. D Balakrishnan. Procedures and guidelines set by him then are still followed by all the departments. Thanks for your presence and speech, sir. Thank you. I express my gratitude to Paul Chakola, the Director of Placement, for introducing the guest of honor in the most effective way. Thank you, sir. Further, we are grateful to the PTA President, though he could not join. I express my gratitude to him for his willingness. My heartfelt gratitude goes to the family members of Dr. D Balakrishnan for their gracious presence in this meeting. Thank you, madam. I am thankful to all honorary advisors, governing body members, trustees, and their families heads of all academic and non-academic departments, all teachers and other staff members of Vidya for their participation in this meeting. I also express our special thanks to Dr. M. Chandrabrathan, Dr. Anil B., Mr. C. K. Jayarajan, Mr. K. K. Tilagan, Mr. K. G. Sugumaran, and Mr. K. P. R. Vijayan for being with us today to pay tributes to Dr. D Balakrishnan. And an event of this kind cannot happen overnight, especially considering the mode of conducting it. Even though we are all familiar with conducting online classes, meetings, and webinars, program of this kind is unusual. We get so many speakers and different classes of audience from all over the world and not from every area of the society. So many people have helped me in helped the organizing committee in the preparations done over the last 1 week. A few names that I must mention are Ms. Kirtana of Civil Engineering Department for making the prayer, Ms. Malavika, student of 3rd year Production Engineering for comparing the entire program, Ms. Jyoti PR of MCA Department for designing and designing the brochure and the electronic flex, Mr. Ravishankar of CSE Department and Mr. Saji, System Administrator, and Mr. Arun Xavier of AAA Department for providing all IT support. Thank you all. Besides this, my department colleagues Anil, Sangeet, Sunish, and Leshmi, who are in the organizing committee, have been working day and night over the last 1 week to ensure that this program has a successful culmination. Thank you all. Finally, I thank all the students of S3 batch for their participation and patient listening of the commemorative lecture. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. The meeting is dispersed. Thank you all.
Okay. Can we conclude, sir?
Dileep, sir.
Yes, sir. The meeting is dispersed.
പഴയ സാർമാരെ കണ്ടു മതിയാവുന്നില്ല. കെ ബി സാറിനെ കാണാം, പ്രതാപൻ സാറിനെ കാണാം, കൃഷ്ണൻ സാർ പോയെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു. കാണാനും പറ്റിയില്ല, നന്നായി. ജയരാജ് സാറിനെ കാണാനുണ്ട്. How are you now? Are you okay?
How are you, Dr. Sudha?
I'm fine.
Flooding problems ഒക്കെ കഴിഞ്ഞോ?
അതൊക്കെ കഴിഞ്ഞു. അതൊക്കെ വെള്ളമൊക്കെ ഇറങ്ങി. Now it may become the other kind of problem. Something, no rain for 2 days.
Okay.
How is Calicut treating you, sir? You're mute again. It's okay.
Nice to see you all online. Thank you, Dr. Sudha.
Thank you.
Dr.
കാണാനും പറ്റിയതിൽ സന്തോഷം എല്ലാവരും. Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Bye. Let's hope you'll come again another day soon.
കെ ബി എം സാർ,
നമസ്കാരം.
നമസ്കാരം. കാണാൻ സാധിച്ചല്ലോ, ഇതുണ്ട് നേരിട്ട് നിങ്ങൾ കണ്ട് കണ്ടോളൻസ് അറിയിക്കുന്നു. നേരിൽ കണ്ടപ്പോ, മുഖം കണ്ടപ്പോ. സുഖം സുഖം. സാറ് പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ഞങ്ങൾ ചർച്ച ചെയ്തിരുന്നു. ഒരു കാര്യം അഡ്വൈസ് ചെയ്തിരുന്നല്ലോ, നമ്മുടെ റിസർച്ചിന്റെ ഒക്കെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ. അത് വളരെ നന്നായിട്ട് വരും. സാറിനോട് നേരിട്ട് പറയണമെന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചിരുന്നു. അത് വേണ്ടതുപോലെ ചെയ്യും. സാറിന്റെ അഡ്വൈസിന് അതെല്ലാം നടക്കും. അല്ല, അത് നമ്മളെ സന്തോഷമുണ്ട്. അതെ, സാറ് സുഖമായിരിക്കുന്നല്ലോ? ശരി സാർ, താങ്ക് യു.